Alright, everyone. Good evening, and good morning, and good afternoon to anybody across the world. Being sure everything is working correctly, being sure everything is running. So, we are going to try to do some of my contract stuff live, only on YouTube for the moment. I've already figured out that in order for me to stream on my TikTok account, I will have to pay for that, which I do not want to. And I'm right now going to have to do something quick. We are going to have to close off on tf2 again because it froze on me. Because if you leave tf2 open too long on the background in some capacity, it will freeze or stutter. And anytime that I do streams, I have to do a lot of checking on what I'm doing. And I just heard that Sims 4 is now free to play on Steam, which is excellent because I have heard a lot of great things about Sims 4. I do not have webcam open since I already know if I were to open a webcam, it will be delaying me a lot, and I do not want to deal with that. You see in the right-hand corner, if you do see it, you might see that I'm also using an FPS thing to be sure to track how much FPS and downgrade. So TF2's summer update has been pretty okay. It was, besides the TF2 bots being kind of gone in some capacity, which is great. But you know how that is. I'm not keeping my hopes too high. I was trying, the only for me to even check anything on my end is through checking everything else. I'm going to have to turn off a lot of stuff. I'm being sure everything... Oh, that's weird. I'm going to have to turn off all of this because if I were to turn all of this on, it's gonna lag for just a couple seconds when I press OK. You won't hear any music coming through for the first couple of milliseconds. So where have I been, you may ask? I just finished uploading a video this past last month in July. I have not at all made any new content as of now because of myself, my stupid laziness, and not wanting to give anything back to anyone because I know how I am. I tend not to do anything that is fundamentally okay. For me, I'm going to be sure everything is working because I do not know if anything is working at the moment. And you see right here, there's multiple devices plugged in. The only devices you should be able to hear is just my headphone and everything else. Okay, that's also peaking at the moment. I do not want that to be peaking on my end. So I'm going to turn it down just a little bit so it's not peaking too much. I'm going to give it a little bit of an... You know how it is, just a little bit more. Even if nobody is on here, we are going to still do my thing that we've already said. We already set our goal to get through this Brazil contract, and have already gotten 2. So, to clarify about the contract system, it's pretty much just like a thing you can do to get better at the game, kind of. Only have 81 completed and 108 to go. I got about 20 left, or 19 left to go. The map I'm on is Brazil. And the other map that I was trying to complete, which I did not like trying to complete, was Sunji. Then after I complete those entire core maps, we're going to go back to the core maps and complete CTF, which is going to be Two Fort, Turbine, or any of those. And going back to defense, they're being able to do what our defense. So my only other thing that I got to do in my defense class, which is demo, trying to dominate 4 people. The problem with dominating people in game for me is kind of difficult because I really know that I have a skill issue if I do that. And I've been lately noticing a slight lag with some servers I'm on, because even though I'm not using a wired Ethernet cable, because I do not want to deal with cords, I do not want to deal with wall connections, because I already know that that's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. And the audio should be coming right through my headsets, which are my old ones. Or possibility my new ones, yes. The audio should be coming through these headphones. Everything else with tf2 at the moment has not too much have changed. I haven't really at all, because this is what the summer mat's until September 15th. So I've lately been thinking about getting back into streaming, which I know that I have nothing else to do. I do have the time to get a job and make some money, right? I know how to get that. I know how to get my resume, but I already thought in my head, I already know the tedious process. And I don't have the patience to wait 3 or 4 months, if not a couple of weeks, to get back on a work day. There's a lot of maps that I do like on TF2 that I do want to play more often. But there's a lot of maps that people are not filling up because pastime is not really my favorite thing to play. It's not really my thing. King of the Hill is okay. CTF is fine. And Capture Attack and Defend are absolutely pretty good. Out of all the maps that I've played the most on, has to be the two kind of casuals. Attack and Defend and CTF are my top 2 rounds, plus Miscellaneous, which is the medieval mode. We have 2 medieval modes now in session, which I'm very happy about. But majority of the time that I'm in TF2, you are not going to always encounter people in close proximities or priority-wise. Because last time I checked, from my experience, every person I've ever met, and everyone that has seen my streams have seen me, have said this a couple of times, that I do not fight one-on-one unless it's really necessary in that situation to do so. And I kind of do not like fighting in TF2 where I have to interact with people. I play as sniper most of the time. You already saw my graph of how many hours I have on certain classes, even though those do not find my skill. TF2 itself, even though it's a skill-based game, you still have to earn some of that through years, if not months and months, and a lot of patience. TF2 is a patient game for me, because I'm having to try to learn how to be patient with my fights that I'm in. And I can definitely say that most of the fights that I'm in, I'm not always going to be the most fun. And I've already saw that a bunch of people just left. So we're gonna just do defense and offense. So I'm gonna do offense because I know that I'm better at doing soldier and pyro more than I am scout. And scout is not my forte, unless I necessarily need to sacrifice skill over trying to jump over people. And the only character I know that is always going to be in the close proximity, if not intimate danger, will have to be 1 or 2 classes. It's going to have to be Spy or Scout. Because I know for a fact that Sniper, you're never going to interact with Sniper unless you're in sight lines. Which I know that a lot. TF2 right now is being kind of a butt with my stream, so I turned off all qualities because you're not really focused on that. You're focused on just the gameplay. And most of the time when I'm playing a game that involves me using my head and getting into, doing stuff, that would just depend on my amount of patience and the time needed. If I'm tired, I'm not going to do anything. If I really want to do something I'm passionate about, then I'm going to do something I'm passionate about. Which, right now TF2 is having a massive lag spike on my end. And since I'm not even using that much on my end when it comes to CPU and GPU, like kilobits, it should not at all be having any problems. Because I know this for a fact, anytime that my stream goes down, it's because my internet is pretty bad. I'm using Cox Internet. What do you expect? I don't have Xfinity. I don't have any of that AT&T stuff. Or most of my Wi-Fi is just spotty. It just has a problem in the connection. So the connection is in Washington. It says right here. I'm in connection from Washington, which is state or Washington D.C. District of Columbia. Everything else that I have done on TF2 has always been grinding. I have grinded possibility over 500 hours more than I usually do. And grinding hours on TF2 is kind of what I do when I have no other option but do it. Because if I grind and grind and grind, there's always going to be that where I need to try something. And I just got back into the game after a couple of hours. I was on Filmmaker trying to adjust some stuff and taking out some stuff I don't want in my video and want to make. I know a lot of people come for me for just my fetish content, which is what I want to do. I want to do mild, if not suggestive content, more than expecting. Most of what I try to do from my experience of TF2, personality is what a lot of people want me to do. They don't care about me just talking about doing. They want me to see some entertainment. They want to be entertained. They want payment. And I'm never going to have really much of a personality to claim it sometimes. Because what makes me interesting, I don't really know what I'm doing most of my background. I'm just the background character. I'm not a main character. So I do not want to be in that position of doing that. We just got one. We just have a new part of my contract, and there's got a trick to doing that also. And I just got hit by the scrap assassin, which I do not like. I try my best to stay away from interacting with certain people in game because I know for a fact if I were to be anywhere near them that I would die because I will lag so dang hard. I would stutter so hard because I have a loading computer, and I know that's a skill issue and having to invest money. Because here's the problem. Not every TF2 person is going to have money to spend. And if I were to confidently say how much money I've spent in this game, realistically, without overestimating, it's a little over $1,000, if not under $1,000. I think I last counted. I think I told someone at least about $1,100, $1,200 at least, and that's in 2 years. I stopped buying gift cards. I've stopped getting all that, and I started to sell stuff in my inventory that I do have. And I do not like selling stuff. I know that TF2 has digital currency that doesn't have much of any kind of profit. You can make profit, but it's not going to be a whole lot. Like, some people do have a ton of money in their pocket that they can spend. I know that's something that you don't want to brag about because you're saying you have more than others. And the problem with that is you don't really need to be bragging about having more. And having more money than someone else does put you in a position where you're kind of telling people to go screw themselves. And I do not like the idea of showing off and saying that I'm better than them. I have more skill, I have more years, I have more talent, I have more computer power. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means you have to put a persona on, and I try to disconnect from being a persona. And when I'm trying to disconnect from being a persona, it makes people less interested in me because I know that if I put a persona on, people are not going to like it. And I know that acting as a character is not always everyone's favorite thing to do. You do it because you're trying to escape reality and trying to do something else that's less, well, I would say, not my forte. Because I know some people on certain platforms with possibility do some terrible things to get money for, like wow, or trying to say that you are better and have more knowledge and all that. I'm just an average, I would say, for a Follow Pony fan, a furry fan, whoever you want to call fan. I would say that I'm definitely more brony than I am furry, even though furry is my fell safe. If I do not like the bronies, or just like me in general, even though I've been in this fandom for a long time, there's a bunch of people I don't like and a bunch of people I do like. I will honestly say, without any kind of emphasis on what I don't like, I do not enjoy people trying to push their opinion on people. I do not enjoy, as a tf2 enthusiast when it comes to ponies, I'm not afraid to show who I am. I'm very confident to say that I'm a brony, and I will not take any other yes or no question. I am bashful with it. I will not say that I'm wrong on that. I can be a little bit bashful and extremely up in people's faces all the time with saying that I am a brony. I'm not ashamed of it. I can easily just wear some merchandise that I have bought with money that people, well, not people, just stuff that I collected over the years. There's been times where I have said this in stream, that I am not doing any more drama, because even though drama is something that I do look into, I have been looking at some people that I will not name, like I named last time. A lot of convoy drama that people have been saying have basically milked the thing to death, and I have nothing else to say. There's nothing I can else bring about it. All I can say, this is a bunch of shitty people that should have done some better stuff. Ava, or Chris Tyson, or whoever, Mr. Beast, I do not care for those people. They are cloud chasers. I will definitely tell you, all they do is content farming. It might be interesting content to some people, and I'm going to tell you this, I do not care for Mr. Beast. This has just come from someone who's been online long enough to know I do not like him. The OGs of the YouTube community were much better than him. He's doing it for the money business, even though he's giving money to people. It doesn't mean you're a good person. It just means you're trying to hide something. And generosity is a very different thing than just do get money. Because here's the fun fact about Jimmy, who is Mr. Beast. Before he became famous, he only had $10,000 to spend out of pocket. And his channel blew up from there in 2019, 2020 during the COVID pandemic. I started watching him when he was already popular as he was, when he did the fireworks show comparison about the biggest firework, the smallest firework, the most expensive to the most expensive. I think they spent anywhere from a couple $100,000 to about almost $500,000 just doing the whole production. Someone has already said something about what they basically use. They do have a lot of CGI implication of that show. The Beast games. I do not care for Beast or any of his stuff. A lot of it's just a bunch of brain rot that I've already seen. So, allegedly, and also I've heard some people on TikTok and other platforms that said some stuff about Chris and Ava and all the predatory behavior that Ava has done. Who is the trans person talking here? I'm not trying to be rude about it, I'm just saying as is. Because I have looked into it, I have heard people what they hear, say, she said, they said, it said, you name it. A lot of the stuff is kind of nonsense. I do not care about stuff like that. Even though I'm talking about it doesn't mean I'm interested in it. It's just so pointless. Like, drama is not something that I really want to thrive on. I only did it because I wanted to see how far this went. And I know a lot of people eat it up. And here's the problem with that. All the drama that I've been a part of has already dried up like, you know, like crap. So there's no way for me to really say that I have anything else to say upon it. All the information that people have said so, has said so. So there's not really much of anything new to it besides just micro misconceptions, some lies that people have said that have already thrown people out the window. Because for the Follow Pony fandom, there's not a whole lot of drama that I can speak upon, but I can assume the last big thing that I kind of learned was just the only person we can say is Lovegate. And they're already a terrible person as it is, and they're trying to better themselves somewhat, even though they are a very terrible person. from what a lot of people have told me and what people have said privately is and I have nothing else to say upon it because I haven't really experienced that much with them. The only thing that I've been experiencing just doing my own thing is just doing tf2 stuff. Because the only kind of content that I can digest realistically without having any problems is just doing tf2 content with pony content or talking about stuff that is not always my interest. Drama used to be a big thing on my channel before I completely shifted my focus on animation. Animation was something my channel blew up. My channel blew up with model pony conventions that I've been to multiple times. I have a bunch of videos that were from that are in the bacon session, which are in the archive section, which means I do not have the energy to go through all 100 plus videos that I've recorded and put them online. The only thing I put online now is just my tf2 showcase. I had to only just do some slight changes with the title because I know that some stuff was suggesting to change the title because it did not sound right. Because I can be a bit lazy with doing content because I know when I'm really tired, I don't want to do any content, I don't want to do any of this, I don't want to do any of that. Because I get so bored. And this has come from someone who has ADHD and autism, and I know this is just a thing from that I know from me, is that for me, with autism and masking and constantly not showing my autism, which you can blatantly see that I don't always act the same way as everyone else does. I try to stay out of that sameness, do everything as everyone else, do the same thing with everybody, do the same thing, talk about it, clout chasing. Everything about clout chasing has not been my thing, and people in that drama community, the art community, is basically pretty clout chasing. Now, some of them have claimed they are not clout chasing, which means they're lying to themselves, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you're not clout chasing, you're basically lying to everyone, saying that you are, even if you're not. And why does that sound so outrageous for some people? Because I can tell you from just behind the scenes of drama that I have been a part of, a lot of it was exaggerated. The only thing that recently did happen that I can confirm from Brandon the Pony Productions, which all the stuff that people have said, allegations about him, and he's already lost about 4 people from his channel, which I shouldn't care too much about losing subscribers, is more losing the reputation that he's had, which, here's the problem with that. I don't want him going in the same route as some people where they're trying to say that they are not no pedophile. I'm going to say, I'm not saying pedophile. I'm not going to be a PDF file because it just sounds so weird, trying to mix up a file name with trying to say something on the internet, because here's the thing. Everything exists for a reason online. Everything exists for a reason why everything happens. Drama is no different. Drama content became a thing back when Leafy is Here was a thing. That used to be a big deal about 10 years ago, and he's doing a whole lot better than he was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, YouTube was a different platform. It was a savage place to be on, and all of these alphas and zoomers is what I call them. Not boomers, that's a whole different generation. So, from my generation, I would definitely say that I'm not afraid to say that I'm 25 years of age. I'm not that old to some people, and some people think I'm old just because I feel so lame about what I think and how I feel about situations that other people don't know how to feel, because some people have tried to say that I do not meet their criteria of standards in drama community stuff, or just hearsay, she said. Drama community is just the art community, commentary community, of them trying to explain that I'm no different than what they are. And for TF2, there's not a whole lot of drama that I can speak upon besides the bot prices and everyone trying to talk about, say, TF2 2 Part 2 since this past June and July, if not May and April. It's been 2 years since that happened, and it's been a long journey since this has happened. I am glad bots are gone for over 2 months. I am absolutely practically saying this is the best time of the year to even be on TF2 before the Halloween update. And I feel so sorry that I did not get a chance to do a whole lot of content a whole year ago or so, because I've been too busy with myself. And I know a lot of people want things. I know people want me to give back. But here's the problem with that. In order for me to give back to you, I need to know from the bottom of your hearts what it wants, not mine. Because if I'm doing it for the sake of creating content, it just means I just want to create content that is for certain groups of people. For tf2, that's different. tf2 is like my ultimatum when it comes to just content for pony stuff. Because when I'm talking to people, I don't want to look at a camera because I know how I am. I'm not going to look at you in the chat. I would not stare because I do not like looking at people in the face with a camera. And I have learned that my entire life that I do not like looking at stuff. I don't like looking at my reflection, for instance. I don't like looking at myself all the time. Because this is one thing that really throws me off about brand creators is that they're so full of themselves and only care about themselves only and nobody else with them. And I think they're the most important thing in the world. I am not the most important thing in the world. The most important thing is yourself. And if it comes to content and you're trying to put like a show, you're trying to be funny, you're trying to be all this, and I try to break down all that stuff because I don't want to put my persona and put a face and a mask on. As an autistic person, I get kind of very thrown off to the fact that some people think that autism is not real. When in reality, you are misinformed and you don't know how I feel than I do how you feel. Because the normies do not feel the same way as a non-neurotypical person who is not neurodivergent.
Mission ends in 30 seconds.
From what I understand is that from a lot of normies, they think everyone's the same way outside media interpretation, negative feedback. Everything in the book, basically, that is misinformed. I do not say that I'm wrong about that. I know that some people are kind of rude about assuming stuff, and they think that, oh, just because I'm a furry, I'm disgusting, I'm a zoo, I'm a pedophile, I'm all of this, and I like children and stuff. I don't like any of that. I don't get turned on by any of that. I would definitely tell you, if I were to straight up just say with being so blunt about it, and being so directly affirming, and what happens to people when I'm so direct and I do not, hypothetically put hypothesis in this? Because why would I hypothesize something if I'm not being direct? Because if I'm just being always non-directional, it just makes me thrown off because you wanted me to use more than what I do not want to do. And some people think that trying to be funny, trying to troll people, trying to steal things from people, and being content farming is not something that I personally enjoy doing. I personally do not like content that is constantly the same thing, repetitive, recycled, reused, uploaded, re-uploaded, re-enhanced, re-add. I can go on for hours on what I think about content now. There's too many repetitive things that just make me absolutely go mad because it's just. Is there anything else you can say besides the same thing as everyone else does? Because all you're doing is making me bored. Because a bunch of people do bore me. And this is coming from someone who has the attention span of an autistic child in some kind of capacity, if you were to say so. I'm no child, I'm an adult. And I know I should be acting a certain way because I know people expect me to be that. I do not need to have expectations just because people are going to do that. And with my paranoia as it is, I had a severe burnout when I was gone. I had such a severe burnout during COVID that I couldn't even draw to the point of motivation because COVID ruined everything for me. It ruined my ability to keep going. There's a bunch of people that were saying stuff to me that were threatening, and they were not going to just promise it. They were going to threaten me. So basically, I just said nothing and just moved on. I just basically got rid of people that I knew that were not my forte, my interest. Some people have said to go screw themselves and go somewhere else, which I have heard plenty of stuff. I'm not going to name names, because why would I name anyone else? You know how rude that is if you just name drop? If you're just name dropping people, you can be a couple of things. You can be those kind of person that are just going to be a total asshole to people. And I understand that even though I have people have said I allegedly doxed them. Here's the problem with that: if your information is online publicly and I can find it, doesn't mean you're going to say so, because you are vulnerable, whether you like it or not, on certain platforms. Even TF2, there's a bunch of people that I have saw that got doxed on TF2 once. There was a server I was on during COVID where someone was being doxxed by someone when they were trying to explain to them about something. And they were getting, these were 2 adults, by the way, not kids. So they were also bragging about, cybersecurity as, or a hacker, so. And you know how that is. Let me breathe for a moment. And people have claimed me as being a problematic person, unfairly targeted. And I'm going to be honest with you, as someone who minds their own business and just watches from afar, and there's been times where people have rage baited me a couple of times, and I have never been fall for that. They have always lost me because I don't give them that information. I just completely ignore them. So when I completely ignore someone or ghost them, per se, what people say, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this. The only way for you to really get my attention is unless you are authority, or even though you are fans of my channel, or people who want to view content for the sake of content. It doesn't mean I have to give you respect for everything that you do, because everything that you do can contradict what you want to do. Meaning, if you're trying to get my attention just because you want me to be interested in you, you have to somewhat impress me or get my attention in such a way where I will just stop everything and focus on that one thing only. And by the way, I am live streaming to anybody who's asking, so if anyone has not caught up, I'm just talking about Weiner, what's been going on, how I feel about things, how I see everything. I basically have, by myself, in my own head, and haven't said anything about how I feel about things. Because I've been keeping my emotions in check, I've been comparing stuff, I've been getting the help that I needed to help me with my emotions, with anger outbursts, and other social problems that I wish to not speak upon because triggering stuff. The only thing that I will say that I've been getting help to with other stuff was the essay that happened off campus about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, so during October and August of 2022 and 2022 November. Well, technically October, and it's only happened twice. And that trauma has really caused me to stop engaging with people, stop going and asking for help. And as someone who doesn't want to take medications to help them with certain reasons, like I know that I maybe have a form of depression of some sort. I'm not per se I'm depressed, but I would definitely say that some people might say I do have depression in some capacity. But I don't feel depressed because I technically am not lying that I sometimes will assume that I have a severe form of imposter syndrome. Also is pretty bad to have. I have a form of OCD also too, where I'm just so compulsive. Just have things in such order what causes me to never do anything productive. And the problem with me being productive is having the need. People say if you're not happy with yourself, you're doing it wrong. If you're not having fun and stuff, you're doing it wrong also. I have had that mindset for so long. And I can definitely say it has happened to me too many times. To the point where anytime that I try to do something productive, everything goes down the drain because I do not feel the same way, I don't have the same energy, I do not have the same capacity to do something because I'm only a human. I am not a bot. And bots don't see. The internet does not see. And sudden burst in skill, that could depend on how you look at it, because TF2's mechanics are just still broken as anything. I wouldn't say it's skill, because skill comes from experience and doing the same thing over and over again like an insane person. And we failed because our team was incompetent. And I know how that is with TF2. There's a bunch of TF2 players that are so incompetent, don't know how to play the game right, don't know how to play the class right. Oh my god, there are so many variables in that. It's just outright dictative. I myself have been variously defeated by a free-to-play because they don't know what they're doing. They think they're the high and mighty, they think they have skill. I would definitely say, like I said, it's suggestive. It depends on your perspective, it depends on your skill, years, amount of time you spend. Everything just depends on a lot of factors. And with my black and white thinking morality-wise, I tend to think everything's all for nothing. All for nothing is the skill that I use with having no skill at all and just having everything in a black and white picture. And when I am in black and white, it means that I basically say everything in the same way over and over and over again, that I don't see any new perspectives. And I keep myself isolated. And it is not a good idea, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, to be always isolating yourself 24/7. Even if I have friends and family that do know and know how to spend time with me, I basically myself have isolated for such a long time that I lose the ability to try to do any kind of come up to them. But I don't like the idea of constantly going out to people and talking to them. Unless it's a social situation that involves me having a social situation of doing it. And there's always the question of why. So if I'm not doing anything, ask myself a little bit in my own head, why am I not producing content? Why on earth am I not entertaining people? But in my head, I cannot at all make up my mind. There has been something that has been happening internally in me where I cannot decide on certain things. I cannot decide on what I want to do, how I feel about it, how characters I feel about it, pony characters, furries, bronies, anime sometimes. And I know if I don't do anything, that there might be something up for myself if I were to not do anything at all. And not doing anything productive, it also is not giving you any kind of upgrade in life. I myself know that I do not always feel the need to express how I feel about my opinions. And I think a lot of times when people's opinions come up, or theories, or suggestives, or hypotheses, or what they think about canon-wise in My Little Pony, I'm going to just dismount you and basically feel invalid of your opinion, because my opinion does not matter either, so do not use opinions as a fact. And my opinion is so different and has always shifted to different things. I believe everyone's opinion is completely false. I'm paranoid about people trying to be right, even though rightness is not always the right thing to do, because I know being right is also a pretty self-influence of narcissism. Narcissism is just something that I do not want to acquire. I don't want to feel valid. I have no interest in being full of myself, right? I don't have an interest in doing something like that because it's just really boring to do everything on a platform and say that you're everyone else. You think everyone's the best in the world. You're better than them. You do more better stuff than them. You have better skill. You have time, dedication put aside. And I sound like I'm preaching, which I am kind of preaching myself, because that just goes into a tyrant. I go into these tyrant raids of constantly burning myself out, where I have burned myself out for the longest time on certain platforms. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I have burnt myself pretty badly. in content creation. I burnt myself in art. I burnt myself in animation. I burnt myself in doing so many things. And I take full accountability for why I don't do it. And I take full accountability that I don't give back and I have been lazy about what I do. And here's the thing about it. If I have nothing else to say on upon something, I've been using AI to help me out with, like, I use it as a tool more than a life choice. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to possibly quit for tonight because I am getting kind of sleepy at the moment and tired of my medicines kicking in. I do know that I need my energy for something. I need to be able to do something else to keep my mind off. And I know